Welcome, everybody, to Niche Night here on A2DRadio.com. Coming from our own Real Talk studios. You got Chrome and you have Maddie, the Ginger Gang. And I finally got it right the first time. But it's the opposite of what I think it is. We're coming at you with, again, our guest. He's become a regular on here. He's no longer Stat Guy Andy anymore, or Stat Guy Ritz, pretty much. Although he still provides us with a lot of informative information from in this very ring, which you can see Saturdays here on A2D Radio. Mr. Andy Ritter. And Andy, we appreciate you joining us again, brother.
Appreciate you having me on, gentlemen. What is going on this evening?
A lot, man. We're gonna be making a big announcement momentarily for next week's show. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. First, Dr. Paul Vidal, the Doc, Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find him in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary. Check him out. Hit the site. Make an appointment. Go see Doc Vidal. And also brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK. You need gutter cleaning, gutter guards, tree trimming, deck installation, restoration, any of that stuff, guys. Check them out, ambuckservices.com. Let them know that the fam at A2D sent you, and guess what? You get 20% off. 20% off, guys. So check them out, ambuckservices.com. And our topic of conversation this week is brought to you by QB54, the best tailgating game in the business. We love it. Great time to get it now with the weather starting to clear up and get better. Check them out, playqb54.com. Bombshell dropped in professional wrestling this week with the announcement by Becky Lynch that she is pregnant and has vacated the Raw Women's title. We're going to discuss the situation, and we're going to discuss if we believe that Becky will be back. That's our topic of conversation from QB54. Becky Lynch will be back after her pregnancy. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We're also going to recap Money in the Bank. There's a talking point from AEW that we'll bring up, and anything else that's on the table, guys. So big announcement, though, for next week. And I think that we should just kind of clear that up now, get everybody on board.
So congratulations, Mike, on being pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
You said a big announcement, so, I mean, just like Becky, so.
Friggin' Maddie.
You're stupid.
You weirdo. But we're happy to announce, guys, we got another big guest, one of our biggest guests to date, joining us next week. And with that, just an also programming alert, we're going to be swapping with the Hockey Happy Hour, who typically comes to you guys late night on Thursday nights. We're going to do a little switcheroo. Hockey Happy Hour is going to come at you early. We'll be on the air next week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are happy to welcome the world's most dangerous man, former UFC World Heavyweight Champion, and current Impact professional wrestler right now, former WWE Attitude Era star, former Intercontinental Champion, Ken Shamrock. Ken is going to be joining us next week here on Lazy Book.
Let's go.
Hour-long interview. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about his UFC career, his professional wrestling career. Ken's got a new book coming out. The book is called Shamrock. It's a collaboration that he worked on, and it's going to go through a lot of his career and the different things. And we're really excited to talk about it with him, to be honest with you. It's very, very exciting. So, yeah, we got Ken coming on. And, again, his book, it's co-written with Jonathan Snowden. So, again, Ken Shamrock next week here on Lazy Booking on A2DRadio.com. So if you have a question for Ken, if there's something you want to say to him, make sure that you guys tune in, join the chat. We're on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, well, we're not on Instagram. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Instagram soon, hopefully, and Twitch. So any of those 4 platforms, guys, you can hop on. And again, as always, our programming is always available after the fact. If you can't join us live, on all kinds of downloading platforms for podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple iTunes, whatever you want to call it, and iHeartRadio. So again, we're excited to welcome Ken Shamrock next week to lazy booking. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm really excited to have Ken on. He just had a really. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm super excited for it. I think it's gonna be a great show next week. You know, you think back to Ken Shamrock in that Attitude Era and how while he may never have held the WWE title, he was a huge cornerstone of a lot of different storylines.
Well, guys, he was Brock Lesnar. Him and Dan Severn were Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar, right? They were legitimate guys, the guys who made a mark in professional combat sports, and brought legitimacy, to the industry. And again, I mean, I want to ask him about WrestleMania 13. Working that match with Austin and Brett, and kind of getting his feet wet for the first time in professional wrestling. So. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. He's going into the Impact Hall of Fame. I saw that comment drop down there. We'll talk about that with him. He just had a really strong angle with Sami Callihan. He's currently, in the title mix for, the Impact World title. So it's going to be really exciting to talk about. And Prism 280 says the man, he actually main evented the DX in your house pay-per-view against HBK and got the win. Absolutely. So big show next week, guys. Join us. We'll be here with Ken Shamrock. And we'll remind people a little bit later as the show goes on. But let's talk about the matter at hand, guys. We'll get into Money in the Bank specifically momentarily, but I feel like the bombshell of this week was the Becky Lynch announcing that she is pregnant. She's going to be out. And I kind of want to get your feedback, through this whole promo and the way that this was carried out. And I want to get your guys' feeling. Do you believe that she's going to come back? And I know it's, people are going to say 50-50. I want to get your gut reaction today. If you were gun to your head and had to make a decision today, do you in your heart of hearts believe that Becky Lynch will be coming back after this pregnancy? I'm going to defer to Maddie first here.
I think she will, but it won't happen after. Like, are we talking like directly after her pregnancy, like after a little bit after she's had her baby, or are we talking a little later on?
At any point, do you believe that she will come back?
I think she will. I think there have been other female wrestlers who have had children and have come back to wrestling. Mickie James is an example. She had a child and she went back to wrestling at one point, and she wound up back in WWE too. So I think it will happen. I just think it won't happen. It won't happen for a while. I think she'll take time to be a mom and to raise her daughter or son during the days that obviously the child is a baby, and when they're a little kid, like at that 3, 4, 5, 6 range, something like that. You know what I mean? I think she'll eventually come back to wrestling, but I think for the foreseeable future, I think she'll just stay at home and raise her child, and Seth will be the one probably out wrestling as a part of the family.
Andy?
I kind of got to say that I don't think she comes back. That's my gut reaction right now, is that she's not going to come back. Because take a look at like somebody like Brie Bella, right? Brie Bella, Maddie brings up Mickie James, who obviously came back, but she never really came back to what Mickie once was, and hell, she's not even on TV right now anymore anyway. She's transitioned into a backstage role. Somebody like Brie Bella, right? She went, had a baby, everything like that, tried coming back. It didn't work. And in my eyes, it kind of tarnished her original run, because it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad when she came back and had all those different botches and things like that. It tarnishes the run that she had. Now, where was I going with that? Oh, to Becky, right? Sorry, one of the comments caught me off. To Becky, right? The difference between Brie and Becky is going to be that Seth's still going to be wrestling. Daniel wasn't at the time. Daniel wasn't wrestling, so there was no desire to want to go back. Everybody was home. They had a true family at home. That's the only variable, is that Seth's still going to be wrestling, so there could be a potential for Becky to go back. The other side of that coin is she's done it all. I was reading an interview, and we'll touch on the interview later, right? She said she's achieved everything she's wanted to in the business. What more is there to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, guys. You can look at it from a lot of different angles. There's people who say, well, the mother aspect of things can change things, and that's absolutely spot on. You don't know. There's a different relationship when it comes to the maternal relationship with your child that can change people and change goals. We know that Becky Lynch is a very driven woman and that she has goals set out for her career. And she's at the peak of her career. And this is where I think it differs, Andy, when you bring up Brie Bella. Brie Bella was somebody who's been in the company for a long time. She no disrespect to Brie Bella, but she's not on the Becky Lynch level. There's no precedence for this that's been set to somebody who is in their prime, in the peak of their career, at a time where women are really finding their place absolutely on the equal level as men. She's as big of a star as anybody else in WWE or anywhere for that matter.
Absolutely.
There's no precedence for this. And I do find it to be a very fascinating topic of conversation. She's gonna be the pioneer of this kind of a situation. I know that Brie Bella had the pregnancy, and then at that time she did retire, and then she decided to come back after the fact. But my gut feeling, I don't know, guys. There's a big part of me that says, she's such a driven person. She loves this business so much, and there's so much more that she can accomplish. The other side of me is she's been champion for well over a year. She was the first female to win a main event at WrestleMania. What else is there for her to accomplish? She's won countless titles, and she's a Hall of Famer. She has a Hall of Fame career at this time. A lot of that speech that she gave on Raw, to me, felt like a retirement speech. And maybe that's because of the uncertainty, and she doesn't know what she's going to do. And should she decide not to come back, she had a chance to say her piece at the freshest point of the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But my gut honestly tells me I don't think she comes back, and I wouldn't fault her for it. I don't think there's a ton that she really needs to accomplish. I don't think there's anything on her resume that she could add that isn't already on there already. How many firsts have we seen in this company? Are there any firsts left? She main evented, she main evented the first, she was a part of the first all women's pay-per-view.
Yep. She did that.
Go ahead.
Well, she was in the first main event of WrestleMania, which you touched on.
Yeah. I mean, my gut feeling tells me that she doesn't come back. Should she come back, and let's be honest, there's been some hesitation on the fan side to continue to accept her character at this point as well. So if she does decide to come back, this could be the break that she absolutely needs. This could be what kind of, relaunches the man. So
yeah, most definitely.
I hope she comes back. If she decides not to come back, she's given me all I would have ever expected from her anyway. She's literally the person that came from the bottom and found her way to the absolute top of the industry. And there's enough iconic moments there that have solidified her Hall of Fame career.
Oh, yeah. She was at the, she's been plucked out of obscurity from just a few years ago. I remember back when, before I came to A2D, we were doing a bunch of different videos, and we did a spotlight on Becky Lynch. And we talked about how we would have changed her career and different things like that because she was floundering really, really bad. And then that SummerSlam with Charlotte, that moment where she turns on Charlotte, that was the catalyst. That was the thing that catapulted her to where she's at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talked about this, Ryan, is in the background. I know Maddie was part of that show, though. We talked about before that SummerSlam, is this the time to turn Becky Lynch? And I know that I was adamant, Maddie, if you remember at that time, that this is the time to turn Becky Lynch. You're never going to have another opportunity to reinvent this character and give her a reset. And man, I mean, as adamant as I was, Maddie, and you can remember then, I don't think I could have foresaw the absolute launching point that was for her. One of the biggest launching points that I've ever seen for a character, an instantaneous reset button.
It was one of those things where, she turned heel, and we'll put that in air quotes. She turned on Charlotte. It was a big thing, and then they tried to get her to get booed. It wasn't working. Then she just became that baby face, the man, and it just took off from there. And I guess it was because the fans wanted to see her just kind of, I guess, have that fire, that I guess they felt like she lost when she was losing matches time in and time out and looking like a jobber, an overpriced jobber, for a period of time. And then she had that spark and she had that great rivalry with Charlotte. And then she went on to win that main event at WrestleMania and win both the belts. So, it's just a perfect example of timing in wrestling. Timing is everything.
Yeah, and that's a great comment by Spells as well, Sean Spellman. Becky Lynch cashed in her acting ticket. She will make way more millions acting than risking. Becky Lynch will be back to promote movies. Cena and Rock are helping her acting career. I believe, Spells, to your point, the door is open in terms of her acting career, big time. And, I could see her coming back in a part-time role. She doesn't need to come back in a full-time capacity. If she comes back, I do not believe she will come back in a full-time role.
No, absolutely not.
No, it'd be part-time.
Raymond Rivera says Asuka was a better choice to be a champion than the other women, but I think Bianca Belair is going to be in the picture in some way. I don't disagree with you.
I don't disagree with it either. I said this in one of the messenger groups that I'm in when everybody was like, why is Asuka champion? Why'd they pick Asuka? Think about it. Asuka, the way she is right now, can carry that title and carry any program that she does because, one, everything about her is great. Everybody's loving what Asuka's doing right now. Granted, I didn't like the bid on Monday with her and the title. Yeah. I thought it took away from the moment.
Really?
But I feel like it did. For me, it took away from the moment. Until Becky said she was going to be a mom, and how Asuka reacted, how Asuka naturally reacted to that, and it caught her off guard. The whole dancing around the ring and everything like that, because it was coming, essentially, that's where it bothered me. But
here's the thing, Andy. So that was shot earlier in the day. Nobody knew. That was all genuine.
Right, no.
Announcing. But see, I don't think it took away from the moment at all because Becky Lynch, what she said is 1,000% truth to her. She is a huge proponent for Asuka. She loves Asuka. And I thought, if anything, that fed back into the moment. It wasn't your typical, like when Roman went away. And I don't mean this to sound bad, but when Roman went away, like you expected it to be like, you expected the Shield to come out. And that's a great moment. But in this case, I would have expected, Bayley or Sasha or Charlotte to come out.
So did I.
And it didn't go that way. She decided to do this in a way that she could make another star or relaunch another star in the same breath. And it's someone that she truly believes in. I don't think it took away from any of it.
See, and this is where we differ, right? I looked at the moment. I knew what was coming with the announcement. Don't get me wrong. When Becky says, you go be a warrior, I'm going to go be a mom, and Asuka's genuine reaction right there, that part on everything's fine. But the part with Asuka dancing around the ring, it just, I don't know. It took me away from it for a moment.
But it's Asuka's character. If you didn't know, Andy, beforehand, if this was live and everything didn't come out on social media ahead of time, after it was already taped, you wouldn't have thought anything of it because it would have been Asuka in her character role. Asuka didn't know. So she went and did things as she's supposed to do things. For all you know, Andy, they may have said, hey, just so you know, you're going to be the champion, not told her the reasoning behind it, and said, just go do your thing. Like, we're making a lot of assumptions on things.
We are, but again, you have your opinion on it. I have mine. I didn't like it. I didn't like that part of the moment. It is what it is, right? Again, I like the Asuka reaction afterwards, though. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it.
I thought that added more to it. Oh, here we go.
Bastard. Don't you have something better to do?
He's doing what?
Yeah, I'm producing the damn show.
Exactly. That's what producers do. Thank you, Mr. Brodo, for that wonderful moment.
That was a great clip.
No problem.
And by the way, Ritz, I did not know you were such a big star in 1998, but good on you. Anyway,
I was 7.
Yeah, and you got thrown off the top of a Hell in a Cell. But anyway, all right. But speaking of Asuka, I know we're gonna get to Money in the Bank later, but when she was in the elevator dancing, I started pissing my pants laughing. After she did, oh my god, when she ran to the elevator, she's just dancing. I lost it. One thing I will say too, before we get to the comment, well, actually, I'll read it. Julio Vargas saying Asuka deserved the title. She has been the MVP of the empty arena era. I would agree.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
What I gotta ask you guys this question though: how long do you think she has that belt till she drops it to Shayna? Because it's coming. How long?
I'm going to be honest. I think that she's going to have a decent run with the belt. I don't think it's going to be anything quick like SummerSlam. I really, truly believe, and I said this back after WrestleMania, I think they want a crowd for when Shayna wins the title.
Exactly.
So
I couldn't agree with you more.
I could see Asuka holding on to this. I saw somebody else drop it in here earlier. I'm sorry, I don't know whose name it was, but somebody mentioned Royal Rumble. They could see her holding the title till Royal Rumble. I 1,000% could hop on board with that at the earliest Royal Rumble. I think you're going to get a real nice, strong run from her.
Good.
Yeah.
Finally.
No, I think it's the right time to have Asuka. Yeah, keep the title until Royal, and even Rosca chimes in saying that Asuka could do another undefeated streak with the title. I think this. I don't agree with David often, but this is a moment I agree with him because I think this is the right time to do it. Let Asuka start building up that undefeated streak again. You've already teased the her and Shayna thing, right? If Shayna's able to not capitalize, but dethrone Asuka and break that streak, it adds more to it.
Fucking Frank.
Good
Hey,
Lord.
sorry to bother you at work. Takes a lot of courage for Becky, that Becky announced her pregnancy. She's the first pregnant man in wrestling. Get it because she is the man. Now laugh because it's funny. In all seriousness, she will return, but I'll say by next year she'll return to the ring.
That's too early. If she was.
Well, next year would be any time in 2021. So let me ask you a question. Realistically, if you were to put a time frame on it, how long do you think at the earliest that she returns?
3 years, 4 years. I think it
really.
I think she'll stay away for. I think she'll stay away for a little while to be with her child. Because she's gonna want to She's gonna want to be a mom to her child when the child's baby, and when the child is just a little kid and is growing up and everything like that. I think by the time you start getting the child around like maybe 7 or 8 years old, you can show like I used to wrestle, and you can then show your kid like this is what I used to do for a living, and it would be it'd be a fun experience. So I think that's really realistically where I'm trying to look towards it.
Andy?
See, I think I wasn't going to say 3 or 4 years, but I also don't know timeline on kids as far as like when they start taking their first steps. And
usually 9 months is kind of where it starts. So
look, dickhead. I'm referring to like when they take their first steps, and son of a bitch.
You got a 9 month handicap. You can build it off of that.
Right? No, but all jokes aside, when the baby starts taking the first steps and different things, a lot of those firsts are out of the way. I feel like Becky's going to want to be home for those and be a part of that, and then come back. Like once the kid's walking and borderline talking, all that other stuff. That's when I think you come back.
I mean, if I'm given a realistic time frame on things, I'm thinking, obviously the duration of the pregnancy. I think that she's probably going to take 6 or 7 months for, the maternal bonding and whatnot. And, at that point, she'll continue that. And, she's probably going to take 3 or 4 months alone, maybe 5 months to get back into ring shape and conditioning. If I was to put a time frame on it, I would say 18 to 24 months. I mean, you're looking at a good length of time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
At minimum, 18 months. At minimum. And I'm not optimistic about 18 months. I would probably say more 21 to 24 months is what I would realistically think. You'll get it probably a good 2 years, maybe around WrestleMania 22 time. She ramps it up or maybe appears in the Rumble that year, stuff like that. But realistically, I mean, that's if I think she's going to come back. On SmackDown, I think Bayley's going to tie Lynch's record. I don't think that at all, Raymond. I think that they're going to be taking the title off of her pretty soon. Unfortunately, it's going to go to Sasha Banks.
Ugh. I'm sorry, I said that out loud.
Greg, what's up, fellas? Sorry for knocking Becky up. I couldn't help it. Greg.
Did you get a haircut yet,
Edwin
bro?
James. Edwin James says Otis winning the Money in the Bank's huge, especially since they will give Drew a legit title run. They can keep building Bray and Braun. Let Heavy Machinery win the belts. I guess we could start kind of transitioning into the actual Money in the Bank, and then we'll kind of round back to how Asuka officially became the women's champion. But do we want to go through the whole card? I mean, I guess we could. We'll talk about the highlights. I loved the presentation of Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, and I want to get your guys' reaction on that. Social media seemed to love the way that was done, the storytelling. So I want to get your guys' reaction. I'm going to defer to Maddie first. How did you feel about the Braun Strowman Bray Wyatt matchup?
I thought it was fun. It's one of the, with the Bray Fiend kind of the matches, expect the unexpected, and enjoy it because you don't really know what they're going to do. They can go into the bag of tricks and do pretty much anything they want with that character. And they had a lot of fun with it. You could tell, the match wasn't bad either between Braun and Bray. But I love the fact that the puppets were there. Abby was there, you had Huskus, you had everybody there, and he was trying to get Braun to join him. It's like I liked it. They weren't ignoring the fact that Braun used to be, one of Bray's family, and they tried to see if Bray could get him back. I thought that was a good way to use that storyline. I don't think it was the wrong decision either for Braun to say no, because I don't think it would be right for him to go back. To be a part of Bray, because then he'd get overshadowed by the whole Fiend and Bray and everything like that. So, yeah, I thought it was fine, honestly. I thought it was a fun match, with all the silliness that they had and Bray's bubbly personality with the sweater vest version of himself. I thought that was perfect,
Yeah, but even with the silliness, Matt, it still tells a great story,
Yes.
And you bring up the puppets and any other moment, I probably this is where an empty arena works, right? Because you can put those puppets there, and it's more believable, and it passes off better. Like you don't have somebody in the crowd trying to screw with the puppet or whatever have you.
Yeah.
So it adds that elevation. But what I loved was the mask when, Chrome, you and I watched it on a watch party together. When that mask, when he came out in that mask, it kind of took us all by surprise. That was such a different touch to it. And he falls to the knees and he's playing into the, I'm really going to come back. I'm going to be your black sheep. I'm going to be your enforcer. And then he's like, no, that was just for you to let your guard down. I'm going to destroy you now. That was a great cap to it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I saw the comment in there that the storytelling in all of Bray Wyatt's matches have been fantastic. I think they had a few hiccups early on in terms of the Fiend with the red lighting and kind of that nonsense. I think they dropped the ball with the Seth feud with the 11 curb stomps. Is that the right number, Andy?
Yes, 11 curb stomps.
All right. That's why you're Stat Guy Reds. 11 curb stomps, which was insane. That's on top of chair shots and everything else. That's the one time I really felt like they missed the boat and dropped the ball on that program. That being said, they found different ways to present this character, both characters, because he's really pulling almost like a Mick Foley and juggling split personalities. And they found different ways to integrate the puppets and the different, gimmicks that come along with this character on both ends in terms of the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse. And I loved it. And the backstory was there with Braun. It was served up on a silver platter. And, the WWE thing or way that we always talk about is if it's obvious, it's probably not going to go well. But they've managed to, ironically enough, and I know people have been somewhat critical on some things, I feel like overall the creative during the pandemic has been really strong.
Mm-hmm.
The pay-per-views have been pretty well, and I feel like some of these characters, they've managed to do really great character building. Even, just kind of to pull away from Bray Wyatt. Look at somebody like Zelina Vega and just what she's done by having the opportunity to be on every week because of the limited rosters with, the faction or the group of guys that she has and how they've developed that character on commentary, as an outside manager. It's been really great to watch that. And I was over the moon with this. And I got to say, too, we worried when we heard Bray Wyatt right away, oh, man, they're going to pull the title off of Braun Strowman. Well, they managed to find a way to continue this story, which I think will go to SummerSlam. And that's when you'll get The Fiend. And he will probably defeat Braun at that time as The Fiend. And you know what? I'm okay with that as long as they continue to present Braun on television to be strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's get into Drew and Seth. We had a pretty good match between those. Oh, God, Greg. You don't have to
He
tell
knows
me
it's
to
spelled
look
with
at
a
Zelina
Z,
Vega.
right?
Yeah, he does. No, he doesn't. He probably doesn't know that.
You think he's looking at the name bar?
I mean, he Googles it enough.
I'm sure he's liked enough photos on Instagram. So let's get into Seth and Drew. I thought this was a really strong match. How did you guys feel about? So obviously Drew goes over here. How did you feel about Drew and Seth shaking hands? And we can even go into the follow-up on Raw if you want to jump right into that with the fallout. But I just kind of want to get your guys' feelings because I thought it was a little odd. And I'm still kind of on the fence of why they did that, even with what was presented on Monday Night Raw. But I want to get your guys' reaction to it. And I'm going to defer to Andy first this time.
It caught me off guard. I really don't know what to make of it, considering, and you bring it up, Chrome, considering the stoic Seth Rollins that we got the next night and how he just stood there on the apron until, yes, Greg, she's got a name, you moron. God, I love him. You gotta love him. But no, how he just stands on the ring apron too. I thought it was Rey Mysterio hits him, and that's what kind of snaps him out of it.
Yep.
Was he stoic because he couldn't get the job done? Why shake the hand at that point? Other than it's a sign of respect, but then you're like, are you blurring the line? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, Maddie.
Yeah, I would say this too. If you got Seth to be a heel and he's going to stay a heel for a while, and that's your goal, then then he shouldn't shake Drew's hand. Like, if you wanted to have Drew put his hand out and have Seth feign that he's going to shake his hand and then kick him in the nuts or something like that and walk away and be a sore sport about it, okay, fine. I can live with that because Seth's a heel. Makes sense. But, yeah, I don't understand where they're going with this. Like, are they looking towards turning Seth back? Or are they trying to do him in between? I don't understand why they're going that route. Like, there's no need for him to shake his hand. Especially if you're going to have them continue their rivalry in a future match.
Yeah, I'm just as confused as you guys are. I feel like we can usually kind of find the silver lining on how we can spin it, and I'm a little confused on this one. I don't think that there's a possibility that they're going to. That really worked well, by the way.
Did it not?
It did not at all.
Damn it.
You may as well just kept it over your mouth.
Yep. My bad.
You know, I don't think there's a chance in hell, Maddie, with what we saw on Raw, that they're going to be turning Seth back to a face.
Yeah.
I liked the spot that they did on Raw. I'll tell you, it was uncomfortable, and a lot could go wrong when you're putting a guy's eyeball on a corner of a metal stairway. The way that they did that, I thought that was really good. It's just the handshake is what's throwing me off. Did the handshake put him in that comatose state? I don't know. It's just very unusual to me. So I'm going to be interested to see how they tie in and bring those things together and explain that. Other than maybe it was just a one-off moment just to continue to build Drew, but I don't think it needed it. So, whatever. But I did think that Seth's comatose state and kind of aimless wandering state was well done throughout the program.
Oh yeah, it was fantastically done. And then to your point, how it's uncomfortable, right? You can't pull that off with anybody other than Ray, who is just a seasoned veteran and knows how to play it off. And then Alistair in the back, Seth gives that kind of, I don't know what happened. And it's almost half-assed, like, what happened, but you're still trying to be this this heel with it, and then Alistair just goes ballistic.
Yeah.
All of that fits so well together.
Listen, I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, to piggyback off of that, because the gimmick type that they have him going with is being the Messiah. Well, it's like, if you're supposed to be playing up the Messiah, you don't admit weakness, and shaking his hand is kind of like saying, yeah, I wasn't good enough that night, but I showed respect to that guy. It's like, that's not what you're supposed to do. When you're playing that gimmick, you're supposed to basically say, I didn't lose. You got lucky. That's it. And I'll prove it and go back to it, But anyway, what were you going to say, Chrome?
No, I was just going to say, you know what, though? As kind of thrown off as I was by the handshake, if this all leads to a Seth Rollins-Aleister Black feud, I'm all in. I'll forget a handshake one night. If they can get me to Aleister Black and Seth Rollins, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day. That's a feud that and I would hope that Aleister would come out on top of that. But, I think I feel like Seth could use a small run to where he's kind of fighting to find his way, similar to when Cena lost to Rock, right? And he had that year where, there was confusion on who he was and he had to find his way. And, he had a bit of a rough patch. I think Seth could use that right now. And I don't think it would hurt him overall. I love the Messiah character. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great gimmick. And he does it so well. And, we'll see. Give me Aleister Black and Seth Rollins all day, though, guys.
Oh, yeah, those would be fantastic.
Those matches would be absolute fire. That's from Edwin James. Absolutely. Aleister Black, Seth in the future at Backlash. Yep, I'm with you, Raymond. Prism says Seth is now Big Show. 200 heel face turns before he had 15 years to the company. You might be right, brother. I want to transition into the Money in the Bank, guys. We talked about this leading up on what this was going to look like. Like Andy had talked about on In This Very Ring, and then we presented the same question that you presented on your show last week in our preview show. Did you feel, was the women and men being mixed together going to take away or add to the experience? So now we've had, 4 days to reflect on it, boys, and I want to know. And I'm going to go to Maddie first. Maddie, did this take away, or did this enhance your experience? And how did you like the presentation of the Money in the Bank?
Well, I thought that the presentation was it was fun because you got to see interactions between stars you don't usually get to see, and on top of that too, it's kind of like this is what it's like in the WWE headquarters. It reminds me of the Super Bowl commercials. Like everybody beats the shit out of each other, no actual work gets done, and it's just superstars running around trying to win a championship title shot. Anyway, but at first I thought it was weird because of some like edits here and there going back between the men and the women. There were a couple of times that it kind of jarred me at the beginning. Over time, they started to get them to flow a little bit better. Like they had a moment where, okay, these guys just beat the shit out of each other. Let's go to the women. Let's see what's going on with them. And then vice versa. And then there were times where they would, of course, commingle, which I thought was kind of hilarious how they put them together. But overall, I thought, at first it was a little weird, and then I got used to it, and it got a little bit better over time. One thing that I will say was kind of a silly spot that I wasn't really a massive fan of was when Asuka's climbing up the ladder to get the briefcase. All of a sudden, here comes Baron, and Baron's trying to stop Asuka. I'd be like, okay, hold on, two things, Baron. One, why don't you just let Asuka grab the suitcase, so that way she grabs it, and then if you want to, push her off the ladder. You want to know why? Then you've got a clear as day run to get your briefcase. Boom, you're done.
But
You
what
just
did it
won
matter?
Like, what?
But what did it matter?
It's just, and then at the same time, he's trying to stop her. I'm like, well, why are you trying to stop her? It doesn't make sense why he would do that. It's just like, let Asuka win her briefcase, and then you go get your briefcase. It's simple. There, and he had like a good 20-minute buffer there between any guys showing up there at the top of the roof. So it's like you had plenty of time. Just let Asuka grab the briefcase, grab yours, get the hell out of there. It's just, I don't know. That spot just didn't make any sense to me with Baron. And then Asuka just kicking him and throwing him off the ladder. I thought that was hilarious, though. Maybe that was the reason why. They just wanted a spot to make Baron look stupid because the fans hate him. That's my only assumption as to why that happened. But anyway, and the food fight segment from Raymond Rivera, that was kind of funny when they did that with Otis starting the food fight. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, overall, it was a little jarring at first. I got used to it after a while, and it was actually kind of fun when they started doing transitions better.
Andy?
So I'm torn. On one side, I absolutely loved every minute of it. It was fun. It was hysterical. There were a ton of great spots. And having the men and women mingled together really made it work, right? Especially with like the food fight scene or Dana in the Money in the Bank briefcase conference room.
Dude, I thought Dana was a star in this whole thing.
Yeah, Dana stole the show.
Dana was great, yeah.
But where I'm torn is I would have loved to see two separate matches and see what they could have done if they were two separate matches following them through the whole thing. If there could have been more, like, it made me want more, put it that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, when it got done, I was like, damn, I could watch another one of those.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we were for Boneyard and Firefly Funhouse. We want more of it. And, the Vince thing was the best.
Oh, God, that part.
The Vince was the best. And the Paul Heyman's reaction, hiding behind the serving tray. Dana coming out and like you said, Dana steals the show, right? She comes out wearing the poster that Carmella smashed on her. The only thing I didn't like, was the Stephanie McMahon edit. They made that look so poor.
Well, the edit wasn't great.
Yeah, that was the only bad thing about it. Everything else was great. And you started off the men in the gym, that iconic FE gym.
WBF.
I love it because it still has the same neon lights going around it that it's had
Yeah.
since the 90s. It's amazing.
And then the women start in the lobby with Asuka jumping down on everybody. Yeah, it was all of it was great.
I love this, guys. I loved it for so many different reasons. The cameo spots that we had were spot on. Brother Love coming out of the shitter was great.
And then he says, "I love you," and Ray says, "I love you too. I gotta go."
That was great. I could nitpick at a couple things, and I'll mention them momentarily. But overall, I loved that they had the interaction between both. There was so many moments too, like Ray getting smushed between Nia and Otis was great. And then Shayna, I saw it mentioned. I think it was by Raymond. Shayna putting Ray to sleep was hilarious at the same time, and it actually tied together because she had Ray in, her finishing move, and then she just kind of backed off, let him go, backed off, and he got smashed between both of them.
Yeah.
I loved all of that stuff. Asuka being Asuka, they managed to keep everybody's character. Dana being in the boardroom and pulling the briefcase down. I know the edit wasn't great, Andy, but the premise of it I enjoyed. And
no, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I know. But I liked it a lot, and I thought that Dana came out of this looking like a freaking star. I don't know that I could have made it through 2 of these because I think it would have been overkill, to be honest. And I think they had one shot to destroy the building, and they took that shot with both of them at the same time. And I thought this was a really great way to commemorate, the original WWE headquarters before they moved to a new one. You got to see the iconic room, the weight room that everybody knows about. And you got to go into Vince's office, which was hilarious that he has this massive fossil in there. I don't know if that's legit or if it's just something that they staged there. But even the little nuances, Vince sitting there in jeans. Like, man, did that blow up on social media. But, you have Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, going at it. And all of a sudden, Vince kind of stands up and throws them out. And then they come back and fix the chairs. They leave, and Vince just comes and does the hand sanitizer and goes back to what he was doing. They found so many ways to find this, like, humorous. I could have did without the Doink the Clown little spot because it's clearly not any of the guys, at least that I could tell, that played any of the Doinks on the mainstream. And if it was, it was a really terrible wig that they put on him. But
they didn't even have the outfit. It was even weirder because they didn't even have the outfit.
That's why I don't think it was a Doink. I think it was who's Noel Foley dating?
Frank the Clown.
Isn't he? Yeah, I think that was him.
It might have been. I don't know. But, I like that they used that room and they had Corbin tied up in the ropes. You knew somebody was going to go over the building. They managed to put Ray and Alistair over the building. The rooftop left a little bit to be desired for me, if I'm going to be a nitpick. Everything in the building was spot on for me. The rooftop left a little bit to be desired. I agree with you guys. I don't understand the Corbin spot. Logic would tell me, well, if Corbin's trying to rush up the ladder and Asuka is at the top, you can make the argument like, well, she's kind of in his way from having a sturdy, clear climb, but it wasn't presented properly. Like, if you're going to go for that, have them on opposite sides to where Asuka has to reach out like this as opposed to reaching back. If she's at the top of the ladder and she's reaching back, Corbin's got a clear shot.
Yes.
If you want to do that spot, have her climb up the other side. And maybe that was the intention, but they climbed up the wrong sides. But have her climb up the other side to where she's reaching over, and then let Corbin do the heel tactic and get the heat on him, trying to get her out of his way so he can reach over and grab the men's briefcase. But I agree that wasn't presented well. But I like the finish for Otis. I enjoyed that. Otis, they and what I thought was smart was they open it up with him trying to climb and he breaks the ladder, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, immediately you're like, there's no way Otis is going to win this match. I mean, we didn't think so anyway. But then to have that ending work as well as it did, it was spot on, man. I mean, we watched together, Andy. We were absolutely shocked.
We
couldn't
all
believe it happened.
lost it.
It was a fun moment. And I don't know if anything, somebody mentioned something about having Otis and Tucker go after the tag titles, have him hold on to it for a while. I think he'll hold on to it for a while. I unfortunately think Tucker is a guy who is going to slowly be phased out, or they're going to have to do something different with him. I don't see the big picture with him. They're really striking while the iron's hot with Otis, and I don't blame him. He's been probably the second biggest star in this pandemic, in empty arenas minus Asuka.
100%.
Now, obviously, we found out later on Monday night that the women's match was not for the women for the Money in the Bank, but indeed was for the women's title, as Becky Lynch opened the briefcase and the women's title was in there. So I'm going to ask you guys in terms of how they did that, because I know we speculated a lot earlier in the day. There was a lot of speculation on what they could do. Me and Andy had a conversation. Are they going to have her lay down and turn the title over that way, or whatever? Have a tournament. Did anybody have an issue? I thought this was the most ideal way to do this. It was absolutely perfect. Would you guys agree that they did it? They did the transition of the title the proper way?
Maddie, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I had no problems with it, honestly.
Is
when
there
you're
a
throwing
better
it,
scenario you could have thought of?
in an ideal situation, if we were allowed to have crowds and the pandemic wasn't going on, I would have said a tournament. But since we don't have that ideal situation, I think it's fine with how it happened. We can't do the things that we normally do on Raw and SmackDown and on pay-per-views because of the situation we're in. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine given the circumstances that they had to work with. It's tough. You're told immediately, hey, the Raw Women's Champ is pregnant. She can't carry the belt anymore. So then you're like, oh, okay, well then we got to take the title off her and we got to put it on somebody. At the same time, you also have all these angles that you now have to rewrite and do all that shit. So I think for time reasons and everything, I think they did what they had to do. And I didn't really have an issue with it, honestly.
Great comment by Taylor Bowers, real quick. I know this is a wrestling discussion. But I just want to put this out there. Cowboys suck, LOL. Yes, you are correct. Fly, let's go.
Love it. But see, I like how they had it with Asuka getting the title from the briefcase because two things. One, obviously, it's an easy way to say, hey, you know what? Asuka won this match. Here's a reason to put the title on Asuka. We're about to announce an Intercontinental tournament. Because I feel like they knew that going into Monday night.
Yeah.
We're about to announce an Intercontinental tournament. We can't have two tournaments running at the same time on two separate shows. Right?
And
so
technically, they also have a cruiserweight tournament going on as well.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
You're right.
That.
You're spot on, Andy. That's overkill, man.
Exactly. And then the other side to it, it still leaves them the opportunity to come out and say, hey, you know what? The women really didn't have a true Money in the Bank match. They could do one later down the road. And it's a reach on that, right? Because, again, I'm someone that likes the Money in the Bank briefcase and the uncertainty of it. And those cash-ins have typically been really, really good. As predictable as some of them may have been, it's still good to have somebody looming in the background with that briefcase. So you could still play off and, hey, you know what? We need a new number one contender. Here's a ladder match. We need a match. Let's put it together, kind of thing. But no, giving Asuka the title in the briefcase, fantastic. Because here's the other side. People that aren't intelligent when it comes to the world of professional wrestling and understand that this happened because Becky's pregnant, they're all going to tune in now on Friday to say, oh, what did Otis get? Did he get a contract or did he get something else? Did he get a contract for the tag titles? Did he get a contract for a main title? Because that's the big narrative right now. Otis should use it for the tag titles.
Yeah.
So people are going to tune in just to see what happens.
Yep, I agree. And, I think that this was so well executed, so the proper way to do things. and I think that they chose the right woman. I would counter. So I love the Money in the Bank too, Andy. I will say that to start. That being
But here's
said,
the part where he disagrees with me.
well, we had another year before where they had a second women's Money in the Bank match in the same year, and I hated it. I thought it was overkill. I thought it was unnecessary. What also makes it special is the fact that you only see it one time a year. Now, circumstances are different this year, but to me, it's no different than somebody cashing in the night after they win it. Essentially,
Fair.
she just didn't have to cash it in. You know, the uncertainty that you enjoy, to me, I got it in a different element. And that was that, you know, nobody knew watching that was actually for the women's title or the Raw women's title. And now you find out the next night that indeed, technically, that's cashed in now. She is the women's champion. It was a successful women's Money in the Bank win for her. And we still have Otis. And I believe that that's going to be used for a storyline for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they don't do anything stupid like they did the year that I think was it Ziggler or Cena? Somebody won it, and then I think Ziggler won it from Cena after that. Is that right? Or
We just talked about it on our shows. Kennedy won it.
Kennedy won it, and then because of getting in trouble, he had to turn it over.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any of that stuff. But I thought it was really well done, and I don't think that there was another way you could have pulled this off. And I'm excited for it. And do you guys want to see this style of Money in the Bank next year, or do you want to go back to the traditional?
See, here's the thing. With it being the way it is with the pandemic and everything, you have to do it this way. But, I feel like if we get crowds back in the arenas by next year and everything like that, which we should, I mean, I'd say, yeah, you go back to your traditional Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, don't get me wrong. Am I having fun with the cinematic stuff? Yeah, I am. But, you don't want to make it, year in and year out a thing. You want to make those special. And you can do that now because, you don't have the crowds. But, once you start getting those back in, you also, if people are paying to go see Money in the Bank, and it's like, all right, well, we got to have the Money in the Bank in the, with the briefcase and everything in the arena, Yeah. So I think that's the reason why they do it this year. If they ever do it again, it would have to be like a special moment. It would have to be like a special thing that they're doing it for, like a really special thing.
See, I could see it playing out next year in an arena the same way, right? But it's focused in the arena, right? They always talk about climbing the ladder and everything like that. You start in the backstage or in the underbelly of the arena. You have to work your way up, out to the arena floor, up the ladder to grab the briefcase.
Yeah, I could see them pre-filming stuff backstage and then having the live arena aspect of it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. I definitely could see that. I would be pro for that.
I would be too.
If they want to figure out a way to kind of intertwine both. If not, I don't know that I want to see a full cinematic version of this as we did, but I would 100% be on board with either returning to the traditional style or finding some sort of fusion between both.
Yeah, I don't think it works if you go back to a full cinematic next year.
Yeah. A couple other news and notes from Monday Night Raw. Payton Royce is back. Yeah.
Billy Kay
Peyton
too.
Royce, Billy Kay. I know.
But don't forget Billy Kay.
Was that?
I had to give proper respect. Peyton Royce and Billy Kay are back. Oh, love it. Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, the Iconics are back. They're back in the tag team title picture. So that was exciting. I know that got a lot of buzz this week. Not really much else I took from Monday Night Raw. Couple news and notes from AEW. I don't know who watched it. I'm not going to deep dive into AEW this week.
Oh, wait, you don't want to talk about the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders in a basketball match?
I don't even think I watched it. Did that actually?
It did. It really happened. It was
accidentally missed it.
It was funny, but it was tough.
I'll have to go back and watch it.
Okay.
AEW, not a fan of the Jake Roberts stuff. Not a fan of it at all. It's to me, it is lazy. It is hokey. The women belong in the kitchen shit. Like, come on, bro. We saw this with Jeff Jarrett in 1999 with China. Like, I'm over it.
Oh, we did. Ugh.
It was awful. Jake sounds like he's going to have a heart attack in the ring half the time when he's talking now. I absolutely despise this. So I'm not invested into that.
It almost seems like he's still harking back. He's trying to do like what he did with Elizabeth back in the day, where he was trying to intimidate. And it's like, Jake.
He was never talking about throwing Elizabeth back in the kitchen, man. To cook
No, he wasn't doing it. He was just threatening her. Like, that was it.
That's cheap heat. That's such lazy cheap heat. And for a guy who has never needed cheap heat in his entire career, it's sad. It's pretty sad.
I mean, the whole thing about him saying stuff like that is like, Jake, come on, man. Like, back even when you were a performer, you didn't do shit like that. It's just like, why would you do it now? Like, it's, I don't know. Maybe he's gotten carte blanche, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does, to just come up with whatever the hell he feels like he wants to say that he thinks will work. I figured he'd be able to come up with something better than that. But, maybe somebody says, hey, why don't we try this angle? And he said, sure, because it's a paycheck. But either way, it's just like, damn, man, like, you do better than that. You're Jake's a stink.
Seems like to me like Jake Roberts is just collecting a paycheck. Julio Vargas, real quick before we get back into AEW, wants to know what everybody's favorite moment of the Money in the Bank match was. So I'm gonna go to you first, Maddie. What was your favorite moment? Or do you need a minute?
You know what? First. No, I got it. My favorite moment was probably, I said it earlier, it was when Asuka got in the elevator and she's dancing in the elevator. She's just yelling in Japanese and dancing in the elevator. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. And she's doing the weird jazz hand shit that she does the whole time. And everybody else has to use the stairs, which I was very happy they did that spot. Because I said, turn the elevators off a long time ago if they were going to do this. It's like, yes, they're in shape. Have those fuckers climb the stairs. Men and women, they all climb the fucking stairs. Anyway.
How about you, Andy?
So, before I tell you my favorite moment, was it just me or when Laurinaitis and Otis have that spot in the cafeteria? Doesn't that look like the same cafeteria from the HBK Triple H promo from a few years back? When Triple H is going to find HBK?
Eerily, it does. Yeah.
I don't remember that promo, you nerd, but you're probably right.
Are you surprised?
Oh,
not at all.
I didn't think so.
I do only because. Oh, sorry, Andy, but I was just
no.
saying, I do only because of the ridiculousness of it. It's like, really? Sean left wrestling to go flip burgers. This is fucking dumb. This is stupid. Like, the stupidity of it is what I remember the most of that. But anyway.
Real quick, Prism says AEW feels like WCW 6 months before the finger poke of doom. Andy?
That's actually funny that he says that. I was listening to 83 Weeks today, and Eric Bischoff makes a comment about how AEW is WCW right now, what they've suffered back then. Anywho, as far as like my favorite moment, God, like obviously Otis winning, that's like up there with my favorite moment, but Dana Brooke, man. Dana Brooke, anything involving Dana during that was fantastic. Oh, no. Baron Corbin breaking the mirror and throwing the weight through the wall, and how everybody just stopped. Yeah, the look of fear. That was, and wasn't it Daniel Bryan that said, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Really, really good.
And then they finished that off when, what was it? Was it Otis? Somebody put a weight on AJ Styles. AJ couldn't get off his chest. Yeah.
No, he didn't put the weight on him. AJ could have shimmied out of that. Stop it.
But anyway, funny point of it is that, AJ's like, Ray, get this thing off of me, man. And Ray's like, that's local. And he just leaves. I'm like, I thought that reminded me of Eddie. That was an Eddie moment right there. That was perfect. Yeah. But anyway, grow.
Yeah. For me, it was Vince's office, but it wasn't necessarily. It was the moment after Vince's office. So obviously Daniel Bryan and AJ go back and fix the chairs.
Yeah.
And then they get outside of the office and it's like, oh man, you really, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact wording, but it was basically AJ saying, "Oh man, you got scared," and he's like, "Me?" He's like, "You're the one who suggested to go back and fix the chairs," and AJ's like, "Yeah, you're right. I did do that, didn't I?" And then they started hitting each other again. I thought that was a great moment to kind of cap off that little visit in Vince's office. So that was probably the highlight for me out of that whole thing. Getting back to AEW, they announced that Mike Tyson will be presenting their new title to either AJ Styles, Christ, Cody Rhodes or Lance Archer at Double or Nothing. Do you guys, to me, Mike Tyson is back in the news because there's possible conversation of him taking another fight at this age, which is insane to me. It feels, again, very WCW-esque that we're going to try to catch the lightning in a bottle exactly to how WWE did this in 1998. So, do you guys feel that this is going to be something that will move the needle for AEW, or is this just a thing? It's cool. Hey, Mike Tyson's coming in and he's, however old and, but, I think they were going to catch the lightning in a bottle that WWE did. But do you guys believe that there's a chance at that?
I don't really think it's going to do. It doesn't really move the needle for me. Here's the reason why. Because when Tyson came to WWE, he was on Raw a decent amount, because he was banned from boxing because of what he did in Vegas. So I would say, that he was allowed to be on Raw during that time period and got really woven into the storyline with DX, hanging out with them and being their bud and everything and looking like he's going to put the screws to Austin at WrestleMania 14, then the double cross. If you can't really do that, what you can't, then it's like, I don't care. It's like, yeah, I know Tyson did a lot in WWE, but he was able to be in that storyline because of the circumstances at the time, So I feel like it's, again, AEW is trying to do WWE diet. And it's like, you don't have to, we were talking about Eric Bischoff and how he's saying that AEW is like WCW at first. You want to know how Eric Bischoff was successful for 2 years? Not just because he had all these guys that Vince made, and not just because he had Nash and Hall jumping over, because he made the product different from WWE. He said it on how many interviews? Not just with WWE stuff, but Dark Side of the Ring as well. He said the same thing. How can I be different from WWE? And that's what he was able to take and run with. That's why WCW worked for 2 years. It didn't last because he didn't know necessarily how to go to plan what was the next step. He didn't know that. But the point is that's how he was successful. It's just, guys, be different. Be yourselves. Be something different from WWE. Stop trying to get guys that did big things in WWE. Wrestlers are one thing, but when you're going and getting people who were guests at WrestleMania just to try and do the exact same thing that WrestleMania did, that's stupid. That's stale. That doesn't help your cause. That hurts it. It's just like, oh yeah, we got Mike Tyson. He did something big at WrestleMania 14. Yeah, when he was how many years younger and was on Raw almost every single week. It just, that doesn't move the needle for me at all.
Andy?
Well, I side with my angry friend at the bottom. I just couldn't care less. It literally does nothing for me that you're going to bring Mike Tyson in to present a title, right? Unless he's going to, hell, even if he gets involved in some way, to Maddie's granted point, it's literally just WrestleMania all over again. You're not doing anything different. God, I don't even know what else to say. Maddie kind of hit the nail on the head with everything there. It's just they're not doing anything different. They're literally, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, they're an indie show that likes WWE and they're just trying to do that to see if it works on their end with different people. It's not going to, right? Bischoff, the one I'm listening to right now about Bischoff talks about TNA and how you have to build the brand. build the brand. Don't do what we used to do. Build your brand. Make yourself different.
I love Bischoff, but it's almost laughable to me.
And that's in different context, right? That's in a different. Bischoff's talking about it in a different context,
right? But if I'm going to hold a comparison, right, I'm looking at this as like Impact trying to recreate Hogan and Flair in 2009 from 1995.
It was 2010.
Whatever. How awful was that? Like how terribly awful was that? It was really, really bad.
And that's actually the context in which he uses it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was terrible. It was, and I feel like this is the same thing. And honestly, even so, and I understand that you can't have Mike Tyson appear on your program right now with the way that things are. I thought the announcement was anticlimactic. Why couldn't they have Mike Tyson shoot a selfie video and send it in? Talking about it, cut a promo that you're going to be there. That would have been more exciting.
Let Tyson make the announcement.
They literally just put a bunch of graphics for next week's programming and then said, hey, by the way, Mike Tyson's going to present the title, and then moved on to the next thing like it was like an afterthought. It's like announcing Darby Allin's going to cut a promo next week.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid. They really need someone to just walk into that locker room or walk into those board meetings, look everybody in the eye and say, you all are fucking idiots. You need to listen to the ideas. And they're not going to have that guy because no one's going to do it. The only person who could grow.
I gotta be honest with you, Matty. I love Cody. I love a lot of these guys. But everybody coming into this thing talked about the creative minds of the brain trust behind AEW. And the fact that they brought in guys like Arn Anderson and Dean Malenko, guys who were a part of, WWE's kind of, booking and agents and this and that. And it's the same shit.
Yeah.
They're doing no different as wrestling guys than what paid writers are doing for WWE.
I mean, look at it. Look at the card for AEW's Double or Nothing. You have a freaking casino ladder match for a future AEW World Championship match. That's just Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
We just watched it. But you put more guys in the ring. Big whoop.
I mean, say what you will about WCW being the diet at one point, but at least they had their own ideas. War Games was an original idea. World War III was, yes, a response to the Royal Rumble, but it was 3 rings with a whole bunch of stars. Yes, it was a chaotic mess, but at least it was different. It wasn't the exact same fucking thing as the Royal Rumble. I mean, Jesus, they at least had their own ideas.
So, doesn't move the needle for me.
No. And yes, I am angry because I want this company to succeed, but they just keep shooting themselves in their fucking foot every single fucking week. It's unbelievable.
The best thing they have going right now is Britt Baker.
Yes.
Who would have thought we would have said that?
She's amazing. She's amazing right now. She's absolute fire. We're going to be hopping off shortly, but I just want to get some quick reactions, Andy, quick, because I know you could talk for an hour about this. I just want to get your quick reaction to chapter one of The Undertaker's Last Ride.
Okay, I might be Chuck's for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I want to get reactions. We'll start with Andy. Reactions to chapter one of The Last Ride.
And we're gonna deep dive into it on Saturday, I think,
right.
As long as Butters has seen it. But it was intense. It's all I can say. It was super intense. There were some emotional moments to it. I didn't realize it was 55 minutes. I felt like I was there for 2 hours. There was so much packed into it. So well done.
Yeah. Maddie?
I enjoyed it. I liked it because it was a chance for me to finally see, you don't get too many opportunities to really see The Undertaker outside of The Undertaker,
Right.
So anytime there's something like that, it is special, and it's awesome. And they did a great job and edited very well. All the pacing was great. I loved how they touched on a lot of things that, I loved how they touched on how Triple H pepped him up before he went out and wrestled Bray Wyatt, and they showed the footage of it, like that it's great, man. I loved how they showed when he came back down after his match with Roman, and Triple H was the first one there and gave him a hug. And it hit me here because I realized, holy shit, that's right, Triple H is the only one left of that era.
Yep.
Like that's where it really hits home. It's like, holy shit, So
Yeah, for me, kind of going back, being in that crowd at WrestleMania 33 and kind of taking that whole situation in and seeing, for years we've debated, why did he ever come back? Well, I get it now. I mean, I don't know if I still agree with the decision, but like, you get it. And what's crazy is, you watch it, and I believe that they felt like when they started filming this, that it was going to be just a documentary of Undertaker's final match. And it turned into this whole new project. And to kind of see him hobbling around, to see the behind the scenes of talking with Roman and his wife, and kind of those interactions. We've had this character who's been the ultimate protected character over the years. It's mind-boggling. It's insane. And what's amazing is 3 years worth of footage, and none of it's never seen the light of day until now, which is remarkable. So I think it's a great watch, guys. And there's going to be 4 more parts because I believe there's 5 chapters to it.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is this Sunday night. So, it usually drops during the day. So start checking on Sunday. They're going to drop it on the network, guys. Fantastic watch. Make sure you check it out.
Absolutely.
Again, programming reminder and alert. Make sure you guys join us next week, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. We will have special guests, the world's most dangerous man, former WWE Intercontinental Champion, former UFC World Heavyweight Champion, multiple professional wrestling champion all over the place. Ken Shamrock will be joining us for a live interview here on Lazy Booking on A2D Radio. Make sure you guys check us out, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, whatever your preference is, or on our podcast forums, iHeartRadio, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever your preferred podcast version is. If you guys have comments, you'll want to watch live, you'll want to make sure that you drop those in there, drop your comments, your questions. Even if we don't read them on the air, guys, we share the comments on the screen as you see on our regular show. And I can guarantee you, we interviewed Vince Papale last week, or the other day, and Vince would see the comments. So even if we don't read them, they see them. And they go back and touch on things that you guys ask. So please join the show, interact. We will get your comments on the screen. We will try to read a couple of them within the time frame. But Ken's going to be joining us, promoting his book, Shamrock, talking about his UFC and professional wrestling career. And we're really, really excited to have him next week on A2D Radio. Hockey Happy Hour will go on early. Tonight, however, you will have Maddie tonight. Maddie will be joining you, this guy right here, for Hockey Happy Hour at the 10 o'clock hour. Maddie, what do you guys have on tap for tonight?
Tonight we are going to. Oh, and hi, Brian, who's from Scotland.
Brian
Hello.
from Scotland.
What's up, man?
What's up, brother? I'm hoping if you're a Drew fan, congratulations. And also, check us out next week because we're going to be hopping off shortly, Brian. We're going to have Ken Shamrock live, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on A2D Radio.
I was going to say the tap that we have going on here is we're going to talk about prospects for the NHL, the possibility of a draft that could happen. We'll see what the run will look like, the idea of how the NHL will do it, especially if the season gets canceled, the rest of it, which is almost a foregone conclusion. And we will go for whatever targets the Flyers may be going for.
Love it. Love it. Sounds like a great show. Maddie's going to be joined by Brian Daly and Mr. Povia. That's going to be a great show produced by Mr. Brodo, who does a phenomenal job on this show every week. And we really appreciate you, Ryan, for everything that you do. We appreciate the fam for joining in all the time. Lots of comments today. We really appreciate you guys driving the conversation. Continue to do that. Subscribe to A2D Radio on all podcast platforms.
I didn't even do anything.
On all podcast platforms, on
Just
all
a beating.
social media platforms, search A2D Radio. Like, subscribe, comment, share the content, share the shows. We do it for you. You have a voice here, and we love you guys. Thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, specializedphysicaltherapy.com, Ambuck Services, ambuckservices.com for all your gutter guards, gutter cleaning, deck installation, restoration, tree trimming. Promo code, not promo code. Let them know that A2D sent you. You get 20% off. And obviously play QB54. Promo code no notes gets you 10% off the best tailgating game in the business for QB54. So check them out. PlayQB54.com. Check out Andy and his guys, Mr. Butters. They're going to be giving their Money in the Bank wrap-up show, as well as a deep dive into The Undertaker and the Last Ride series. Check them out on Saturday night. For the rest of us here at A2D
Real
Radio,
quick before you go, Chrome, don't forget Tuesday night on the season finale of Dark Side of the Ring. They're touching on Owen Hart.
there you go. So make sure you guys check that out as well. For all of us here, check out all of A2D's content, all of A2D's shows. We have shows for you every day. We appreciate you guys. Brian, looking forward to talking to you next week, brother. Same time next week. Well, a little bit later, actually. So, and for all of us here at A2D Radio, we appreciate you guys. Stay safe, be careful, and have a wonderful week.